Good afternoon. I'd like to share another object from the Armenian Museum's collection with you. This is a letter from Ellis Island, Department of Commerce and Education. This was stationery that they would issue at Ellis Island for immigrants to use if they had to write to somebody in the United States. The writing on this, as you see, it's a very faded letter, but the writing is in Armenian. But when you try to read it, though, you realize it's actually a Turkish language, using Armenian script, but they're writing in Turkish. And this is a letter from somebody who was trapped at Ellis Island. When immigration is a very hot issue today, but this has been an ongoing issue in American history. And when early immigrants came to this country, they had to have, of course, pay the tickets to get there. They had to pass the medical tests once they got there. But they also had to have some money with them, a grub stick, usually $50, to prove that they weren't going to become a public charge. They weren't going to go on welfare, or that the American taxpayer was not going to have to support them when they came there. So they needed to show their grub stick. This is a woman that came to this country with a family, and they didn't have the money. And they're writing to somebody begging them to please help them come down and give them the money so they can get off Ellis Island. Okay, so this is a detainee, and this is the letter translated into English. Dear Uncle Light of My Eyes, which is an honorific, very common. First, how are you? We wish you all happiness. If you'd ask how we are, Aman, Aman, my dear uncle, by the grace of God, come here to save us. I gave 3 bonds for the tickets, but they say we have no money and they'll keep us locked in a room here. They say if the uncle brings money, we'll release you. But this problem is worse than the killings in Adana. That indicates this letter public was between 1909 and 1914, that time frame. Come help us, we are starving. Come and help us out of this prison. We are only allowed to stay together for 1 day. These men will not even allow me to see my husband, to reassure him and to explain to him, dear uncle, please help us. Whatever you do, please help us from this prison. Who are these people? Is this the way of America? We stay with people that have no religion. Aman, Aman. If it is written by God that we will see each other again, please save us. Signed, Garabed Yegjin and Victoria Yegjin. These people were from Cilicia, so they didn't speak Armenian, they spoke Turkish, but they wrote in Armenian. And so this is, as I said, is a problem. And we have many written documents like these in the collection that are keepsakes that tell of the experiences of the generations that come to America, including ones today. And this is an important part of our social history of the Armenian experience.